Hi, and welcome to Lagging Bay, where our balls are regulation size. I'm Brian, that's Colin, and that's Liam, and we're here to break down RIFC and focusing on the statistical and tactical analysis with our own amateur twist. Liam, what are we talking
Sure.
about today?
Yeah, today we're gonna be talking about the upcoming season, focusing specifically on our formation and our tactic. Colin and I have both put together a few ideas that could be fun to show, but
What did we
for
look like last season?
yeah,
Because
for fresher. So this is what we looked like last year. This was pulled from our 8-1 drubbing of Miami FC.
a beautiful
Um,
game.
Yep, big game. Big game. This was our lineup, and these were our subs on the bench. Yeah, we focused a lot on like wing back play. No Darce wasn't always our wing back. He was at one point our center back, sort of. Was he on the left? Kind of, right? So it would look almost more like that when Frank was
Yeah,
not playing.
yeah.
And what we also saw a lot of was something like this: JJ and Chico up front leading the line. So that was basically how we went in last season. Last season during the Miami game, we saw our star boy, Amos Shapiro Thompson. He
The best statistical guy on the team.
best statistical guy on the team. He's got like 3.03 goals and assists per 90 because he played like 45
He played
minutes.
45
But
minutes of this game.
but you know what? He's still the goat for that reason. So yeah, this is a good refresher sort of on how we lined out. Pretty standard for us last season once we sort of landed on this. So yeah.
So we're also trying to look going forward as what coach will probably start this season with before we get into our actual predictions. So we're predicting the opening day lineup. There's a few points of contention. I feel like mainly in this area right here with Mark Ibarra and Clay Holstead, I believe that they will be in there. But I can also fully understand, and I know Liam, you share kind of in this sentiment that Zach Haravel needs to be in the starting lineup.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. 100%.
I see that as like a quite a possibility, but for me, it was Mark and Clay developed such a like strong partnership together in this number 8 position the two of them share. It feels kind of hard to blow it up at the beginning of this season, even though I think it's really just because Maxi is going to end up unseating Zach from the number 10 position that we're going to see a lot of turmoil in here. There's also the few questions of like who's going to play in the back line and what the right wing back situation is going to look like. But to me, just to me, I think this is what it's going to look like. But I mean, I'm totally like cool with however it goes because of how many good players we have. Like it's the pick of the litter, you know,
We're blessed.
quite heavily so.
We're blessed. Yeah, I feel pretty similarly, except as you said, I am a Zach Haravow enthusiast, so I think that he'll probably be in that midfield. But just replacing Clay, honestly, and having Zach on the left because I really liked that Jojea, Zach, JJ link up play. You know what I
Do you have
mean?
any pushback on anybody saying stuff about replacing Mark?
Yeah, man, I love Marky Barra. I love Marky Barra. That's my boy.
I think
So Marky Barra had the same goals and assist ratio as Clay Holstad last season, and I think that people like we all love Clay. We all love him. I love him. You love him. But sometimes we think of him as like a crazy goal scorer or like crazy
he feels like the
assister.
world beater.
But like I think that we kind of overhype him as a fan base. Not a critique, you know what I mean? Love this guy. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but when you kind of put him up against Marky Barra, right? Like what you get from Mark is 4 assists and a goal, and what you get from Clay is 4 goals and an assist. But also what you get with Mark is like I don't know. We called him the garbage man. He's taking
Yes,
out
we
the
did.
trash. Like he is recycling possession. He's like making those passes back if he needs to. He can find a pass forward. He's also bringing 5 less yellow cards with him,
True, and
which
especially with
is,
all the new yellow, not new yellow cards, but with the rules coming out and penalization for yellow cards and then being on good behavior.
yeah.
Mark
And
really covers himself in that.
And I think that Clay actually had like the good behavior rule play for him. You know what I mean? Like I think that he had a yellow card rescinded because he had 3 games of good
Or
behavior.
yeah,
But that's still like 12 yellows. So there's a bit of a like disciplinary thing with him. He's leading the team by far. I think that the biggest thing that we need to say here is that like none of these choices are a formal dropping. It's more like these guys are all going to be in the like 2,000-minute range. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
absolutely.
we're just going to see a higher level of substitutions and like probably earlier on as well. Colin and I were talking about this the other day where like these players that we can now put on our bench raise the level of our substitutions. You're not bringing on, Prince Sadie, love to him,
Yeah,
but
love
like
him, but
you're bringing
it's
on,
much better.
yeah, it's way
Like
better.
we loved Connor McGlynn as an idea, as a player on the field. It wasn't what we needed, and
It
being
wasn't
able
always
to
there.
now being able to be like, oh, we're gonna take Maxi off and we're gonna replace him with Zach or Clay. Come on, like
Yeah,
that's the
the floor
levels will
raising,
not
right?
drop. Yeah, we have
Floor
fully
raising.
raised the floor of this team and also expanded where that ceiling of this team is as in the same breath, you know?
But anyways, I'm gonna pull up my prediction of our 3-5-2. So this is the 3-5-2-5-3-2 that I think we'll sort of run out with. It's sort of similar to what Colin proposed as what we actually think coach will play. There's some small tweaks here, right? Like Zach is in because again, I sort of love this. This whole action is real nice.
Was the
Um,
action between JJ or was it between Noah?
in
That
my
left.
memory, it was well they sort of
Uh,
like flip-flopped on who was on what side, right? So
sure.
if it was Noah it would be a bit more like intricate passing, whereas if it was
Yeah.
JJ or if it was JJ, pardon me, you would have sort of the ball up and the knock down, you know what I mean, as
Sure.
as we've seen. So it really depended on game state, I would say. I know, big words, big
I
words.
love Game State.
This backline is kind of fun. I think, having Ugo Baccarat as our center back is kind of fun. He played there when he was at Flint City Bucks. It forces Yao out, I think, and I'm putting Stoneman on the left
Which
center
is
back role.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm not fully sold on it either, to be honest with you. But I'm putting Stoneman out here because he's left-footed. Left-footed center backs are quite rare, and if we play this kind of ball a lot into the left channel, which we definitely do, like we play through Jojea quite a lot, having a left-sided, left-footed center back is a difference maker in that regard.
How does that happen? What's the difference between having a right-footed
Oh, sure,
player on the left than a
sure. Let's see. So, like, let's say I'm gonna try to show a pressing structure kind of, but like if Grant is getting pressed, his immediate ball that he's able to play easiest is with his dominant foot, and that's out
Mm,
into this zone, you know what I mean? Whereas if you had Karifa over there and you've got something that looks like this, he's not as confidently able to make that pass out because he's just not footed that way. So what you see is something like this, which brings the press back and then basically forces the ball back. So instead of moving backwards when we're pressed, we're able to move forward with that left-sided center back. And I think that that's a really big difference.
and it also helps with the angle of the pass because like right now if Yao plays a pass out to Jojea, it's
Yeah,
headed
more like
towards the
this.
sideline. So it's
Sure.
curving towards the sideline. So if he ever has to make, those long over the top passes, he's gonna have to nail it because it's always gonna
Yeah,
curl
otherwise it's just
to
going
the
wherever.
outside.
Yeah,
So it helps with having like Grant out there where he can curl it down the line so it's more moving inside than staying inbounds than going out of bounds.
exactly. Exactly. I think that as for the midfield, we'll see this. We've already heard me talking about Zach and Mark. I think they're pivotal players. Maxi, very fun. I think that we could see something that is actually a lot more like this and even a little bit like this,
Yeah, love
which
it.
is also very fun
Love it.
because Ugo loves to step up. But we'll kind of get onto that later. But yeah, it sort of just provides us with a lot of tactical flexibility, I would say. You know what I mean? Like you can do any number of these things, right? Like that, and then bring him up like that. And now you're sort of like a 3-4-3 basically instead of that 5-3-2, 3-5-2. And it
Yeah.
just you're really allowed to free up what you do with this. So that's sort of my
Absolutely.
thinking. How about yourself, Mister?
So this is my 352. Changes are very slight compared to Liam's, mainly having Ugo out on the left, even though he is naturally right-footed. I want the Giants in the back line, so I want Ugo and Frank as our outside center backs, and then I just really want to see a well-balanced left and right wing back attacking phase. So it's going to look something a little bit more like this, which is a little nuts, but I think this would just kind of be fun to play at. So it's pretty much, we saw it a lot last season where we get into the attacking phase a lot of times. We'd kind of make a three in midfield, even maybe a four with whoever. A lot of times it was Frank out here, but it was kind of like a three, and Jojea would end up joining the front line. This time, I want Danny to be able to also join the front line because last season's stats don't really cover him in glory, but when he was playing with record setting Chico 2 seasons ago, he racked up 5 assists. And I do think him being a smaller guy brings a good different presence to the right sided of our attack. So I really want to see that. Then really kind of puts stress on the back line here. And really, the big things is on the left and the right outside center backs because there is so much space they've got to cover. We are pretty much fully seceding the wings because we can end up just compressing in if the ball ever transitions out of attack. And really, that means that we just need two really strong guys who are able to defend in a lot of space one on one against people. And I think the two of them can do it. And I think it'd be really fun. The other part of this that I think is wicked interesting is what Maxi Rodriguez can do. Because this dude is an absolute wizard in and around the box. And so the big first thing I would want to see is an ability for us to have extra box crashing because JJ now can like really feasibly stay between the posts. We saw a lot of last season our strikers going out onto the wings. And I think this year he can, especially once we've set up kind of in our big horseshoe, he can just hang out between the posts and be like the heading option for Jojea and for Danny and to be this absolute beast in the box, letting Noah and Maxi kind of disappear out of the rest of the backline's sight and become really clinical at like 12-yard finishers. So we could, and Maxi's like a really astute runner inside the box. He likes to box crash more than Noah does. So if JJ makes a run to the front post off of a ball in from Jojea, we can easily see Maxi either hitting the penalty spot or making that diagonal to the back post. And it can come from literally anywhere. We can see it coming from right back, left back, the two midfielders. And then speaking of the midfielders, I think part of our formation and tactics last year was we couldn't really play through the middle in this section right here, right through, right around the edge of the box. Right here was an absolute killer for us. And I think Maxi Rodriguez can easily unlock that for us because I watched him play for Detroit and he was just he was the head of a triangle, pretty much just passing around individual defenders and just passing and moving and working the ball up from back here. Quick little passes, get away from this guy, whoever's here, then bouncing passes here, and then making a run through and bouncing passes through. And I think if we can do that, plus also being and like keeping up our incredible wing presence, I think we have a really good chance of becoming like one of the most overall dominant teams in the league.
Yeah, that's different. I mean, so many times last year we saw that, like you were saying, like we brought in Jack Penio too, and you still saw it, right? Like it helped a little bit for sure, but then he left, and then when he came back, things were kind of different.
I think it's a good point about Jack, where I think the difference what Maxi can bring is more physicality. Like he's just more
He's grown.
built. Yeah, he's 29.
Yeah.
And he's been playing this league for years. So it's like he's a grown ass man and he can really hold his own in these really tight spaces. And I don't think Joe, as much as I love Joe Brito, I don't think him and Jack really matched up that well, you know? So I think there's a really good chance with that.
Yeah, sure.
But like
Sure.
if they don't do the 3-5-2, if they do like another formation, what would that look like? If they did like
Mikey,
like
Mikey.
a 4-1-2-1-2 or
You're gonna.
something like
Oh
that.
my god, no way. Spoilers, spoilers. Don't let them know.
Spoilers.
Don't let them know. All right.
Listen.
So this is my 4-1-2-1-2. And it's pretty much it's kind of trying to get all of the best players onto the team, uh, or into the team, but it's also trying to keep some of the principles that I want shining through. So it's pretty much more midfield presence because we've seen it, and you mentioned it earlier, Liam, with the 3-5-2, seeing the center back stepping up into midfield, and that's great. That's awesome. But actually having like a real midfielder playing in that position is, I think, infinitely better than taking a guy out of his natural position and putting him there. And I think also this addition of Chico is so good. And I think this team will be, it's very vertically oriented, straight down the middle, lots of quick passing between these guys. I just want to see Chico play, and I think this is a great way of getting him out there. The wingbacks will pretty much do the exact same role. They're going to have to do a lot of the gut busting runs. They're going to have to cover pretty much this entire wing. I would say both Zach and Maxi would have to end up covering kind of these, what we love to call the F spaces. They're going to end up having to cover those, but both of them proved that they can do that, so I'm not worried about that at all. But these three up top are just so good together. I need to see it more. It gives us a little bit more defensive stability in a sense because what we were saying about earlier with Mark, I think one of his greatest traits is that he is more defensive oriented, even though he played as an attacking mid in Pittsburgh this past
Hmm.
season. He can do really everything that Clay does, but he has more of a defensive mind to it, which allows our attacking guys to play with more freedom because they know they've got the garbage man behind them. And I just think
Taking out that trash. He's
exactly.
taking out
And
trash.
I think the profiles of these two strikers, Chico and JJ, complement each other so well, and we didn't really get to see it with either of them at their full force together last season. And JJ's ability to win it out of the air, Chico's ability to win it at his feet or run in over the top, both of them are incredibly mobile for how big they are. I just want to see this so badly. I made a little animation of how we build out of the back against another team's press. So a lot of times we see Koke with the ball at the top of the box, and a lot of times he becomes like a fourth center back, and we'll see a short pass into Karifa, and you will see he's got a couple of options. He can either play out to Morris, which he's getting a little pressured and will probably recycle. That happens a lot. He could play a quick little bounce pass with Mark. That also can happen. Doesn't build too much, but it's all to stress and flex the pressing lines of the other team. He could try to thread this pass up to Zach, who could then unlock Clay. But most of the time, he ends up playing this ball from the back over the top to JJ Williams for him to knock it down. And I just find it interesting because we make a diamond. A lot of times people talk about diamonds in the midfield between midfielders, kind of like we showed with the 4-1-2-1-2, but we end up doing it with our striker as the point, which I just find pretty interesting. So long ball in up to JJ, knocks it down to Clay, and then he has a lot of options looking forward. A lot of times it is this long ball over the top to Jojea, who's always hugging this wing. But he could play a ball over to Frank. He could play more short progressive passes to Mark or Zach and just help slowly build through the team, or he can play the pass that I have in this animation through to Noah. And that is kind of sort of bread and butter how we want to play. And what's great about it is you're dragging the center back of the opposition team forward, creating space for one of our other strikers to run into. They make this diagonal, and then we got a ball into the box for a goal.
What a dub. Anyways, this is my 4-1-2-1-2. It's pretty similar to Collins. I think that the main difference is you've got Clay in the midfield and you've got Fuson and JJ up front. This is how you get your best players in the team. Very similar to what Collins said. Just depends on where. Do you want them in the midfield? Do you want them up front? I chose for the midfield because I think that something that's really slept on is the ability that this team has in late game situations, like 65 minutes plus, where the opposition center backs are tired, and then you bring on Dequa for Rodriguez, and you've got that. I mean, that's just disgusting. Like, that should not be allowed.
Incredibly rude.
It's so gross. And then, Noah's a little tired. Bring in Amos or Isaac, who showed us in their limited game time that they're able to play that role really well. So that's sort of the thinking behind it. Yeah, but this is a fun system. I love this system. Kind of similar to what Colin said. You can have Koke up here, basically third center back while we're building up. You would see something kind of like this-ish. Yeah, so you kind of have like a 3 center back thing, and you can play out however, right? You can play that ball, you can play any of these, and it just works well. So outside of like our build up, what's really nice is if we're defending, you can have Mark drop, and you're basically in a 5-3-2. So it's that, out of possession, in possession, and in transition, we have sort of 3 different ideas here. I like Frank as a wingback. I didn't bring this up earlier. It's nothing against Danny, of course, but like, I just think that he really impressed, kind of in a sneaky way. Colin and I were talking the other day, being like, oh, I feel like Frank didn't get that high up. And then we rewatched the Miami game, and he's like up here.
It's crazy. It's so.
And you see this, and it's like, come on. The ability to. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were just saying. I was saying like I couldn't imagine. I was like, I want Danny in the side because I want to see our right wing back like dribble past and burn a guy down the wing. Frank can't do that. 10 minutes, not even, into the Miami game, skins a dude, burns by him, and puts a cross in. And it's like, if he can do that, like the growth that he's shown as a player, oh my God, I love it.
100%. What's great is we can end up with a position like this if the ball's on the right. You know what I mean? Like if Frank has the ball, it would look, I don't know, something maybe like that ish, where you got all those nice little passes available to you. And then you can do literally the same thing on the left. It's just switched over. And like, this is so nice. I love this look of like, you can, and Frank can tuck in a little bit because, he's a center back. He's kind of used to defending central spaces. It's like you can really do some fun stuff with that. But
the uniformity of the team, like of that tactic, allows it to be so flexible and diverse in how it can play.
It can become anything it wanted to be, and then you can, going back to what you said, right? If JJ has got the ball, I don't know. We saw something. We also see JJ and Noah flip quite a lot, right? So just because JJ's on the left striker position doesn't mean that's actually where he is, because we also saw a lot of Noah in the channel. You know what I mean? And we might not actually, for this example, we're gonna ignore that. But like, look at this. You play that ball, and then you're looking at boom, boom. You can have Frank going, boom. You can have Clay coming in, Mark there, and you're basically just like dominating the midfield with this, and it's gross.
And Maxi also added the ability, like he played as a shadow striker. He played as a third striker in Detroit. So this look, oh my God.
Yeah, it's
three
nasty.
dudes bearing down on you like this. Erg.
You hate to see him coming. So yeah, this is sort of, do I think that coach is going to run out with a 4-1-2-1-2? Maybe not.
Probably not starting it. I will hang my hat on we had that Tulsa game.
Yeah.
And ahead of that Tulsa game, I was like, We're a little stale, and I would love to see a 4-1-2-1-2 because I think it would work. And then we went down early. We didn't do anything until like the 60th minute, and then we switched to a 4-1-2-1-2, and we won the game. I felt very vindicated. I feel like what
Exactly.
we've brought today is like hypotheticals for like second half adjustments, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like things that we could see, you know what I mean? But we're most likely going to see something like this. And again, it's that like the game is wearing down. It's the 65th minute, or like things aren't quite going your way in the first half. You see that adjustment early at halftime or something like that. Like the versatility in this team is off the charts.
Through the
Is
roof,
off the
through
charts.
the roof.
I mean,
Yep.
I would argue that we have one of the best midfields in the league with these four guys. And I have not watched a lot of Taimu Okayoshi, but I do hear that he is pretty good.
He's quite nasty with it.
So
I
this is
think,
also like this five guys. That is crazy work.
yeah, I think he's gonna be very sneakily good for us this year.
I cannot wait. So yeah, that's sort of the that's the gist.
Then
How
wrap
do you
up.
think we're gonna play, Brian?
I think we're gonna win. Anyways, that's it for us.
Yeah.
You know, we appreciate you watching. Our links are gonna be in the description. Any closing thoughts?
I mean, just very excited to see everybody once the season starts.
Right?
First watch parties are starting to run up, so creeping ever closer. We are less than 2 months away from
From home
opening
opener.
day at Tidewater.
And we're 10 days away from the first game.
Yes, we are. Ah,
Incredible.
so exciting.
We'll be at the guild on Friday, the 8th, I think it is, for that Defiance party. Come say hi. We don't have any stickers or anything, but we'll talk to you.
We'll be there.
We'll talk ball.
Love talking balls.
Love talking
Regulation
balls.
sized balls only,
Mm-hmm.
please. No irregular things around me.
Put that finger
Okay.
down. All right.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye. All right. Started recording. And starting in 5.
4, 3,
Three.
2.
Hi, and welcome to Lighting the Bay, where our balls are filled to the. Wait, no, we're gonna restart it.